Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special BODS Mayhem Hour live podcast. It's Friday, and it's been a while since I've done a live podcast BODS Mayhem Hour, and it's going to be returning just on special occasions. Get out and subscribe to our YouTube link. It's very simple. Go to YouTube, put in BODS Mayhem Hour, click the subscribe and follow. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up, folks, and I want to get to this before I introduce my awesome guest here who has waited patiently on me for the last couple of weeks, and I'm sorry, guys, that's my fault. Um, I want to say this: that Middle of the Mountains, of course, in West Virginia, Kentucky, or West Virginia, I had been postponed. Jesus, see, I told you, man, it's been one of those days for me. Middle of the Mountains in West Virginia has been postponed until the first weekend in August of 2023. So I don't really know exactly why it was canceled. I know Ginger was a headliner of this, so I'm thinking that has a little ties into this because of the Ukraine war and all that stuff going on. And I have nothing but respect for that. So, Middle of the Mountains from West Virginia has been postponed until the first weekend in August of 2023. So that sucks, but hey, things happen. So. First off, I want to welcome to my guests here, Joshua Jones and Danny Stevenson of the Obsidian Resurrection, formerly known as Obsidian. They're back working on a new album at this time. So we're going to be getting to all this stuff. But how you guys doing? And welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us, man. Doing pretty good.
Thanks for having us.
Not a problem whatsoever. So let's jump right into this bad boy. Obsidian was active from 2000 to 2006. After the band went their own ways, did you just need a break or just need to recharge, or what actually happened on that front?
It was unfortunate. Dimitri had to move back to Arizona for personal reasons. I think it was family reasons. And, we tried to make it work. It just kind of sucked, kind of deal with that long distance. It was really tough. We made it work for what was it, Danny? When he left, it was like, what, a year? About? And then we're like, we can't do this.
Yeah, it could have been 6 months to a year. We tried out
something.
We tried out a vocalist. Actually, a few of them. We found one guy, but it's just, I think he had trouble with some rhythm sections, vocal delivery wise, I think, and I don't know. It just wasn't happening. So I think that we just eventually just said it's over. It's done.
Yeah, I mean, for that time we tried to break out down south, which it did help us break out down south into Arizona and Texas and stuff like that, New Mexico, when he moved back to Arizona. But in the long run, it was just too damn difficult. We couldn't keep it together. We tried because back then we didn't have the technology like nowadays where we could do it now. But back then, like, if you send an email with a song file, good luck, It's hard. Nowadays, there's tons of ways you can do it. Back then, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Carrier pigeon, record over a phone, which you couldn't even do back then, So it provided too much difficulty, and it just wasn't worth it in the long run. It sucked because we had tons. What's that?
You had dial up to go through, man, and it's like firing that thing up and connecting to the internet was like 15 minutes wait.
Yeah.
About had
you got mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for what it's worth, it did help us break out down there, so that is cool. It's just one of the experiences we had to go through, but we called it quits. We had tons of material. It sucked, but yeah. What are you going to do? Life happens.
Hey, folks, I just want to throw this out there. If you have any questions for Danny or Josh, please put them in the chat room. We'll answer them. Well, I won't. They will. They'll answer them because I'm not part of the band. They'll answer the questions for you guys and gals out there. So head on over, put your questions in here, and we'll get them to them. What?
I think Danny can, because that'll be easier for him since he's on the computer. On my phone, I'll mess everything up probably.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
What brought the band back together? What was it that got the spark rose again?
Cue Danny for this one.
Well, so the idea of Well, okay, so we always had this material, right? We had an album's worth of material. It never really felt right the way that it ended. And from that point on until about a year ago, like for me personally, I would go through periods, where I would think about the music and be like, man, it would be cool if we can just get back together and do it. But I thought there ain't no way it's going to happen. We've all moved on. We all, some of us have families, blah, blah, blah. We have our own lives. It ain't going to work. And then a year ago, I was texting Alex, he's our drummer. And, every so often I'll text the guys because I moved out of California about 6.5 years ago. So I'm up in Washington State. And every so often I'll text the guys, just to keep in touch. And I was talking with Alex, and it crossed my mind to just kind of throw it out there, but he kind of beat me to the punch. He said, man, because we were talking about music, and he's like, man, it'd be cool, something along the lines of like, if we can do the Obsidian album, because he still thought about it too. So I was like, dude, I'm like right with you, man. I'm like, I'm down, I'm down to do this. I can send a mass text to both Josh and Dean, see what they say. So I typed it up. I sent it to Alex first. Say, hey, what do you think? He's like, good. So I sent it to both Dimitri and Josh. Josh responded fairly quickly. I knew he would be down. I took Dimitri about a week to respond. And during that time, I also reached out to Nate. Nate was another guitar player for us. Because of him, we were able to play live. After our original guitar player left, we were seeking out another guitar player, and we found Nate. So he was a part of that. So I reached out to him. He was down to do it as well. But unfortunately, like some time passed, and he's not able to continue because of life commitment and stuff like that. So after Dimitri responded, said he was down to do it, and it's like, there we go. So we started gathering information. I have all of our recordings, most of our recordings on my computer, on my hard drive. I was able to pull some of that up and just kind of start an exchange, the songs, whatever. And it just, that's how it started, man. This Resurrection, we were trying to, that's another thing too, is we didn't want to be called just Obsidian any longer, because there's like at least 10 out there called Obsidian, right?
Yeah.
Alex suggested we just try to come up with something else. So we were trying to think of something, and we settled on the Obsidian Resurrection. Like, that's awesome. Let's stick with that. So that was how this whole thing started. Yeah.
That's actually a cool name, because look at Halloween. Rob Zombie's Halloween's Resurrection. Of course, there you go.
Yeah.
Josh, I can hear your noise in the background coming through now a little bit. Could you turn it down? Just, I don't know. Sorry, man. Danny may not hear, but I can hear it through my headphones.
I can.
Trying to have your mouth over here.
Oh,
my fan.
Oh God. All right.
I'll live.
We'll keep an eye on Josh. We'll make sure he stays cool.
Yeah, if I fall over, just call 911.
Have you noticed a spark in the band though after getting everybody back on board on this?
Yeah. I think the timing was right. Like I said, Alex brought it up before I could say anything. I knew Josh would. Dimitri said, yeah, you know what? We feel like the time is right to do this. And we're like, cool, So, and it's been nothing but positivity for us.
Now, for this, it's for me, it felt like closure, because one of my life mottos is the serpent chases its tail. They're in life in patterns. It's circular, and this just kind of happened, and it just felt right to me, and I think it felt right to all of us. And it really does suck that Nate had to bow out, because we wanted him to be on it, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this has been sitting there for 20 years for you guys. I mean, how much did that eat at you and going like, we've got to get this out? I mean, one day, somehow, some way, this has got to happen.
Yeah, there were times where I would just pop our old demo in my stereo in my car, and they're like, "Man, the shit still hits hard," And I'd listen to it, and then it would kind of bum me out that we're not doing it. And I'd put it back in the case and tuck it away, but yeah, it feels good doing it now.
Yeah, back in 2012, I re-recorded my parts over that demo because originally you really couldn't hear anything that I was doing, and for some reason, I don't know if Josh and we were talking about it or whatever about a possible get back together during that time. I don't know. I don't really know what sparked me into re-recording my parts, but I did, and I'm glad that I did because I added to it. And another song on there that we have that is not on the demo, it was done in a basement. I re-recorded my parts over it, and I'm so happy I did that because if I didn't do that, I don't know if I would have remembered what I did, and then probably have to create some other new stuff for it. And I'm just glad I did all that. So when I'm going and re-recording these parts now, I can reference that old recording because I still have all the original recordings on my computer from the software that I used. Cool Edit at the time, so I can go in there and mute all tracks except for what I recorded, and then relearn it by ear, right? And then I can put it up to the new stuff, So I'm just so glad I kept all this information. I've got discs, I've got 2 hard drives of the same stuff, but it's, you got to back your stuff up. Otherwise, if you lose one thing, if you don't have it backed up, it's gone.
Yeah. It's kind of like Josh said, and I hope I'm saying this right. It's kind of seems to have that rare lightning striking twice again. So yeah, cool to have it again like this. So working on these old songs, though, has it given you a chance to change a lot of the songs, giving you like more creativity to add to, minus, subtract on these?
Yeah. A lot of our old songs we've been really working on to make them flow better. Some are more heavy, some are faster. Like one of our more groovy songs is now our fastest song on the album somehow. It just happened to work that way, and let me tell you, it's a beast. When I was recording that, I literally felt like my arms were gonna explode. It's fast, and it's a lot of left arm movement. But yeah, anyways, the old material, we are reworking it to update it, and we do have some new material as well that we're working on. That's all completed, but the new material, it kicks just as much ass as the old material, and it flows the whole. I had the other opportunity last week on my day off. I literally listened to all of our all of our songs of the album in order of the track listing, and it's quite the experience. I want to say it was good. I think people are going to dig this album.
Would this be like a carryover from the old album to the new one that's coming? That you're working on right now. These new songs.
Well, so the songs on the demo, versus what they'll sound like on the album, obviously the production is going to be a lot better.
Sure, yeah.
As far as, like Josh was saying, there's changes to each song. There's one song that didn't really change a whole great deal. Didn't feel like it needed it. And that's for my parts as well. That's for just about everything. There may have been some minor tweaks, but that's about it. Because, like for me, it's not about just changing everything because I can. It's, I just want to try to retain what's there, but kind of add a little bit more to it, add more components to it. Because back in the day, writing these parts, I'm in the mindset of writing everything where I can play it all live. Right. I don't want anything missed. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a concert and you hear the album and then you go to the concert and you notice that there's some things that aren't there because they can't play it because you have 2 arms if you're a keyboard player. I never wanted that. So everything on that recording is something that I can actually do live. Well, now we're a studio band. Like we don't have plans to play live, so that kind of restriction is not on us, not on me. So yeah, I can add more layers to it without having to think about, okay, how am I going to pull this off live? Are we going to have some sort of backing track behind it? Are we going to have another keyboard player to do it? I mean, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have that restriction. So yeah, it's kind of it's cool having not have to worry about that, because it's like, okay, how can they make this really fucking cool?
I think what it is, it really is kind of like picking up where we left off. Because even back in the day,
Yes.
when we around the time when we had to break up, we were hammering out how we wanted these songs to sound officially. Because we were jamming on, shredding up, tearing up the stage with these songs, but on the album we were working on, okay, structurally, do these songs flow? Do they make sense? Are they recording quality worthy? And we were actually getting down to the nitty gritty of all these songs even back then. And then we had to break up. So it kind of feels like that chapter wasn't finished. It's like halfway through that chapter, and now we're continuing from there,
Mm-hmm. I know Danny said that you guys don't want to go on tour, but eventually, I mean, would you want to take it out on the road though? I mean, it's got to be eating at you a little bit to say, yeah, let's go out and play.
Well, so I mean, I'll be honest. Like on Metal Inc., you hear these bands that are playing shows and possibly going on tour. I do get a little jealous because we're not going to do that. but I'm happy with the way it is right now, though. I know Josh is too. I know he's mentioned that. I mean, I won't answer for him, but as for myself, I'm fine with it right now. I mean, and I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's never going to happen.
Right.
You just never know. You never know, right? Things can change, whatever. But right now, it ain't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
And so we're a studio band. That's where it's at right now.
Yeah, I will add to that though. I do miss that stage though. It's a beautiful rush, getting that connection between the fans and our music. But with what's going on in our lives right now, I just don't see it being possible. I'm not gonna, shut out that option altogether. But like Danny says, you never know. It's just, but how life is going right now, especially with Metal Incorporated, I'm really busy with that. Like, I don't think I'd have time to play shows, I knew Danny and Dimitri honestly, and Alex, they have kids,
Yeah, I don't, and yeah, with you, with what you're doing, I don't know how you'd be able to juggle touring life.
I couldn't.
Promotion. I don't know. Plus still working a full-time job.
Yeah.
Same
here. Yeah. I do 2-3 podcasts, plus I do interviews after work, plus work, juggling to take care of my elderly mother.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with what I'm doing, but I do have it in my heart that I would love to be an IRL streamer. And there's an idea I talked to Josh about, and I hope hopefully you got to have that money though, folks, to do it. So when you're struggling from check to check, it's kind of hard, but I will fulfill that dream soon. And it's something I want to do,
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to say this straight out, and I'm not taking away from this interview, but if there's anything that you want to do, fucking do it. Don't let anybody stop you.
Right.
As long as it's legal. As long as it's legal.
Yeah.
As long as it's legal.
Yeah.
Right.
We can't come back on me and say, well, John from BODS with Mayhem, I'm just go ahead and do it. No, that's not what I'm saying. No. Watch your finger. No. So, anyway, hey, Metal Freaks, Adam Lee, how you doing, Adam? Thanks for joining in, man. Appreciate it. Any tracks, guys, stand out more to you than any right now on this? Because I know these are your babies. I know these are finally breathing some air now. Let's talk about this a bit. Any tracks for the both of you on this one?
Yeah, there's a couple. What do you think, Danny? Can we say name titles yet? Or still trying to keep that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So
there's a few that stand out, but it's well, given time, we'll reveal names, and like the artwork, the album name. Given time, we'll begin to reveal that.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it
I
like a
just don't know when
surprise.
that's gonna happen.
What was that?
Yeah, I was just saying we're trying to keep it like a surprise, you know. But yeah, there are a couple tracks, man, that totally stand out to me because like there's one song back in the day. It was, I will admit, it's kind of boring to me. Like we played it live and we got a good response from the crowd. That was great. But to me personally, I was like, man, this song's very vanilla, you know. But now after hearing what Danny did with his fucking crazy orchestration, I'm like, dude, this is becoming one of my favorite tracks on this album, dude. What the fuck did he do to this, you know? And there's another song where it's literally been a work in progress since I was in high school with our original guitarist. It was supposed to be like, we were in guitar class together and we were supposed to do a end of the year project, a finals exam, you know? And we were supposed to do some dumbass Beatles medley, but fuck the Beatles. I'm not a fan, and neither was he. We went off and did our own thing and created a stripped down version of this song back then. And now we're doing it for this album. And it's literally been remembering back because we were trying to remember that song, but we were like, for the life of us, we couldn't remember how it went and what order of the riffs were because it's a beast of a song. Like we were literally, I think it took us maybe about a month, Danny, and we were going back and forth with like, we were sending all these, we were mouthing pieces of the song back and forth to each other in the group chat. Like, did this riff go, da-da-da-da? No, I'm like, da-da-da-da-da, you know, stuff like that.
And that's one song.
Figured it out.
Yeah, that's one song that we would jam to in the basement. We never played live.
Never.
And we never recorded it either. So it was all based off of memory. Like
completely.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was on my way home from work and I sent out like a voice recording, like a 9 or 10 minute voice recording. I was mouthing the riff of how the song went from start to finish, just to, because I think I had like a more clear recollection of the structure of the song, but you know, in doing that, I was hoping it would trigger the memories from like Josh and Dimitri, for example.
It did.
And it did. You know, and finally we were able to put it together as a song, and you know, we were able to get it tabbed out, you know, using Guitar Pro, you know, have our scratch track on it. Alex was able to put his drums to it. It's like, oh, awesome, this is it. You know, there's changes with it that weren't there originally, you know, but it's better now than what it was.
Yeah, it is. It flows a lot better.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned there was one track that's going to be added to this album, but can we see any more surprises, possibly, maybe, or no, just this one only new one? It's going to be on it.
Oh no, there's a few new ones. What people are familiar with are only 3 tracks: Edge of Sanity, Prophecy's Will, and Unholy Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
Those are updated for the album. There's been tweaks and changes to them, but it's a full 8-track album.
So far, man, has there been a track that you were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to, or have they all actually changed? Which ones took the most change so far, possibly?
One song in particular, man, we went through like 50 or 60 different versions of this song before we were like, okay, this is it. No more. No more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we had we had like 7 different versions of it recorded, scratch guitar recorded, and then Alex came in and he's like, okay, so I have some ideas here. So he programmed it, and we're like, okay, we're on the right track. Finally, we have something solid. But the beginning part, like the first like 3 minutes of this song, it's like, you know what, it's not quite there yet. And by this time, Alex was done with it, right? You know, he had putting out like 2 or 3 different versions of this, of changes we wanted seen, and he just didn't have time to mess around with it any longer. So I got on my computer, you know, I had a copy of Guitar Pro. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this, you know, because we had like a limited time. We had like a week left before Alex was going to start recording his drums. So it needed to get done. So I'd come home from work. I'd start working on it. I'd text them with Josh and Dimitri. What changes do you want? Blah, 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 blah. So made the changes. And then as soon as the 3 of us were like dude, this is it. Then we submitted it to the group, and Alex dug it, and we're like, yeah.
It's
like, 4 out of 5 members approved. That's all we need.
Yep.
How frustrating was this though to have that many, and you're like, this has to stop. What the fuck is going on? This
Right.
There were so many times.
Does this even have
so
to go
many times, dude. There were so many times where we just wanted to walk away from that one song, and I was like, dude, if this song dies in a ditch, I wouldn't care.
Well, it's like, you know what, guys, we've got 7 songs total. If this doesn't make it, then we're done with it. We're at the point where it's like, okay, we'll keep what we have. If it, we can always edit it out. We can always delete it later on.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't want that to be an option.
Yeah.
We got to have this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we came up with is good.
For taking that many changes, yeah. I mean, I'm like, Danny, the fuck, this has to go on here because there's no way, and no ifs, ands, or buts. This has to go on here because it's took too long. And
put too much energy into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? If we would have left it off for whatever reason, I think we really would have regretted it. Like, let's say after the release of the album, and I think that's when it would hit. Like, man, we could have done it.
Yeah,
we didn't.
Yeah, and I'm like Josh. Eventually be like, I'm done. I don't care. Throw it away.
It was close, man. It was like it was pretty close getting to that point.
Yeah, because literally with that song, because I was working one-on-one with Nate, I must have sent him. Man, I have them saved on my phone still for some odd reason. I think there's like 18 different riffs I sent to him, and he was like, no. I'm like, I'm done, dude. I've given you what I've got. You're taking my blood at this point, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to give it to the rest of the group. And that's when Danny, he took the reins. And then behind the scenes, me, Dimitri, and Danny had like a little group chat going on, trying to figure out the song, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
When writing your lyrics, when do you say, okay, let's not go a certain way, or can you, or do you just let the lyrics write themselves? Let's talk about how you guys do this.
Well, for the lyrics, for the most part, it's Dimitri, but he will chime in and come into the group with ideas or needing help, and then we have a general idea of what the song is going to be about. We have all kinds of things we draw inspiration from. Like, a lot of people think we're like, ooh, dark and satanic. No, we're not. But lyrically, the songs have a wide range of concepts, and so we'll start on a particular concept, and Dimitri, since he's the guitarist vocalist, he's the primary lyricist as well. But we all kind of tag team it as a group because we're musicians. We've been in this band. We've been doing this for a long time. We know how lyrics are supposed to go. We know the cadences and the patterns and the rhythms. So we all kind of chime in with our ideas, and we just feed it to Dimitri and help him out. And he'll take our ideas and flow with it, and he'll come up with the overall draft, and we'll check it out. And, then we'll go back and forth until we got okay, this is it. We're done, And then he'll do his vocal scratch track recording so we can hear it. Then we'll give our feedback, okay, this area can be tightened up. This area, we need more balls to it. This area, we need your Danny Filth screeches. This one, we need your guttural lows. And, it's a group process, and it's actually kind of fun. I love writing lyrics,
Do you feel there's a track on the album for every heavy metal fan that's out there, guys?
That's a good question.
Probably, maybe.
I think so. I think so. But
unless you're like diehard 80s classic heavy metal, glam metal. Maybe not. Like maybe not. But for all other genres, sure. Why not?
I can confidently say yeah, because there are some people that don't like orchestration in their metal. Then there's people that do, then there's some that kind of don't mind it. But I think with our music, it complements the guitars, because we play some really old school sounding shit like that. like we describe ourselves as symphonic death metal, but it's like that death metal of the genre back when death metal was in its infancy. So it's kind of like where thrash and death metal bridge back in the day, you know, like Possessed and Slayer type thrash, where it's borderline death metal, but it has that thrash feel to it. And I mean, we got some black metal influences for sure. Like we got some straight up tremolo blasts in there that would make, you know, a bath just be like, you guys are awesome, you know. So I think there's something for everyone. I think people can dig it. It's not too hardcore any one genre. I think we kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm stroking my own ego, but I think people will dig it no matter what they like.
Now, the band is in different states, of course, and recording their parts and sending them to Chad of Hellion Prime. Is that correct?
Helium Prime?
Yeah.
Hellion Prime, I'm sorry. How's it work with him and getting all this shit together, guys?
We don't know yet. We're still in the recording process. Everything's done except for Dimitri's vocals and guitars, which he's about to, go into the recording studio. What, like a week and a half from now, hopefully? 2 weeks?
I don't know. He said sometime in May, June, possibly.
That's right, yeah. So we're hoping for that. Yeah. So once he's done with his recordings, we're going to ship all of our files out to Chad and see what he can do. He's done good work. I've heard some of his work in the past, so I've been impressed with what he does. I think he's done some Helion Prime and I think a band called Paladin. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But from what I've heard, it's pretty good. I mean, I want to hear our songs have that full studio treatment, and I think he can do it.
What's the growth musically, guys, you've seen from yourselves and the band working on this album? What's the musical growth that you've seen possibly from each one of you all?
So I've been before we got back together, I was never really big active on my keys at all. I mean, when I first moved up here, they were in storage. Like I had no space for them, right? And actually, that's what got me into playing the cello. You know, I bought a cello, an electric one, within the first year of moving up here, probably like 6 months. I decided to buy one and I started taking lessons because I still wanted to become musically active, you know, to some capacity. And, you know, so I wanted to pick up the cello. So I took lessons for about a year. Have yet to buy an acoustic. I have 2 electrics. So some of that I'll also be recording cello on the CD. Most of the songs will have a little bit. It's not what I would be playing would be like, instead of playing it on my keyboard, I am playing it on cello now, you know, that sort of deal. Because there are parts that I wrote back in the day that I thought, man, this would sound good on a cello, or you know, that's what I had in mind. That's what would sound good. Well, now I can actually do it. So I mean, that's kind of how I've grown past several years. And again, you know, without the restrictions of trying to play everything live, you know, I feel like I've got more freedom to kind of just try stuff out and experiment with something to see if it works, see how it sounds or whatever. And that in itself, I think, is growth as well.
And I love seeing bands do that, and especially musicians, just them personally doing that, because I think a lot of them are too scared to do that. And I know a lot of them would love to do that, but they're like, that's not metal, man. You're not metal if you're sold out. Bullshit.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that. You know, it's like, you know.
The moment you start holding yourself back as a musician or an artist in general, that's where you need to look in the mirror and be like, you got a problem. If you're holding yourself back from what feels right, you know, what the hell are you doing this for?
Right.
Exactly. Josh, what about you, man? What's the growth you've seen from yourself?
For the band as a whole, I would say communication. We've been really good at communicating this go around. Back in the day, we did have a lot of disagreements on things. Now, when we do have a disagreement, we're like, well, let's hear the idea and then make the decision. back in the day, it was like, no, we're not doing that, you know. Right. Now we're open to hearing all of the ideas because we've all grown musically, you know, we've all matured. So the communication's been key. For me personally, I haven't touched a bass since the last band I was in, which was what? Zombie Death Stench. That was forever ago. So I haven't touched an instrument in a long time. So I've been trying to get down and dirty into a routine. I try to jam between 3 to 5 times a week. If it's like our material or a cover song, like right now I'm really doing some deep dives into Kiss, and I'm discovering some fantastic Gene Simmons bass lines. But something new to me that I never really did back in the day was theory. Like I don't know shit about theory. So right now I'm dabbling in learning theory and learning new exercises and formulas and things like that. Because I was taught by my father at a young age. He taught me to play by ear, you know? So I don't really know much about theory. So lately I've been researching that. So I think I have grown in that aspect, as in I'm trying to better myself to improve and start understanding what some of these like phrases I'm seeing in the chat group, like some of these things Danny says or Alex says, and like I'll have to step out of the chat and I'll Google it, like what the hell does this mean? Oh, okay. You know, I want to like learn these things and get them embedded in my brain and translate it to my bass fretboard, you know.
Same with me as a podcaster, man. I'm growing every day. I'm learning new stuff every day. I'm trying to add new stuff to my podcast just to grab another subscriber. You know what I mean? It's if you don't learn or try something new, it's why are you doing this? I mean, I love doing this. I love absolutely doing interviews and stuff, but you know, it comes to stalemate when it's the same old thing. You know, you try to add new stuff to it to grab somebody and want to come back and listen to every freaking interview, but I know that's not going to happen because you know, let's face it, everybody don't like every band, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
But I support everybody. I have no problem with that. I'll throw it up there. Hopefully somebody will listen to it. So that's why I do it.
That's good.
This next question I thought was absolutely hilarious as I was reading it. And I mean, it's funny way, not disrespectful or anything like that. I'm just saying because you guys crashed a freaking Guitar Center event. Okay, I'll let you guys tell it because I'm not going to read all this because I was reading it earlier and I was like, this is fucking hilarious. So go ahead.
With that was pure desperation, dude. We had,
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's where our minds were at the time, because we didn't have a drummer for the longest time. Even after that, we still didn't have a drummer for the longest time. We were hoping this would be it. We heard that a Guitar Center was opening in our area, and we're like, no shit, you know, in our little podunk town. And so when it finally happened, they're like, dude, this is it. This has to be how we get our drummer. So we printed up tons of drummer wanted flyers, and we go to this Guitar Center place, and it is one of the lamest things ever because they got DJs playing techno and house music in the parking lot, and inside the store, it's all like a rave, and we're just all looking at each other like, it's a Guitar Center, right? What the fuck is this, you know? And you see all these people wearing like Death Metal, like D-Side, Cannibal Corpse, you know, all these badass shirts, and we're like, no one's enjoying themselves. And I think that was when we noticed that's the prime time to pull our little stunt. And our original guitarist at the time, Mike and Dimitri, they went inside the store and they grabbed a guitar, a cable, and they went to some amps and they hooked up and they literally just started playing our music. And the security guards didn't even care because they're like, okay, people are getting into this. This is good. You know, people are starting to enjoy themselves. And we drown out the techno and the DJs and all that stuff to where they stopped playing music. And it got to the point where Dimitri was even saying, dude, we almost got a mosh pit inside the fucking store, you know? And and then me, Danny, and our original vocalist, Justin, we were passing out the flyers, you know, hey, if you like what you're hearing, we need a drummer. You like what you're hearing, we need a drummer, you know? We did that, and to our surprise, we were expecting to get thrown out and or possibly arrested. It didn't happen. Everyone was loving it, dude. And so, yeah, we passed out all those flyers and had a good old time. And we're just sitting back up by the phones waiting for people to call. No one ever called. Our MySpace numbers shot up, though, you know, but no one fucking called us. I'm like, damn it. least we had a good time though, you know.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a guitar center. Why are you playing
Right?
techno and all this other crap?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so stupid when we went there. We're just like, what the fuck?
Jesus. What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to any of the Obsidian's Resurrection music in general, guys? What do you hope they get from once this comes out, once everybody starts to process it? What do you hope they get from it?
World peace.
No, go and take over a guitar center. That's what we're telling you.
Man, I don't know.
I don't know. I hopefully they like it. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully they have nice things to say.
I hope they had a good time. Yeah, I really hope they do enjoy it because these songs are like we've been saying, 20 years old. We put a lot of energy and time into it, a lot of rewriting, a lot of tweaking. I think it'll translate well. I think people will hear that energy because, we were saying how we've matured as musicians, but it's not like we're taking away from that raw energy or the tenacity like we had back in the day. We may be old farts now, but we can still kick ass. So we're still going to retain that power and the energy. But yeah, I think it'll translate well to the people. I think they'll enjoy it. I want them to take away from it to kind of just, if they know what we've been through as a band through all these years, I want them to take away like, okay, if we can do it, like, because with Metal Incorporated, our story is kind of similar to a lot of other bands. A lot of bands broke up back then and they're reformed now. So if we can do it, they can do it, kind of thing. And I want them to just understand that if they are also a new band and they're trying to get everything going and they think that's just not going to happen, maybe that message can be, don't give up. Look at what the fuck we did, I want them to keep pushing forward and deliver unto the world their art, I want to be able to enjoy that with them. I want people to enjoy our art on the same level.
Yeah, it makes it easier with technology as it is now too. I mean, we're in different states, right? Josh and Alex in California, I'm in Washington, Dimitri's in Arizona, and if we were trying to do this, 15 years ago, being in these separate states, it wouldn't have happened. It just wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
Technologies could be a friend.
Oh yeah. And especially recording wise, because the day of the 2-inch tape, man, if everybody had to do that right now, especially these new bands, that'd be fuck this. This is
well, it's like I record here in this room. Like, I have my computer, I got my recording software, I'm doing it here. I don't have to go see someone to do that. I can just do it all here and then send the files off to Alex. He's kind of like he's become like the database, if you want to call him that. And then when everything is up and ready to go, he'll send them off to whoever's going to mix and master the song,
I know you both had a lot of music growing up, and I still do to this day, but do you still have a go-to album or maybe a song that you find yourself gravitating back to and you can't kick it out? You've got to listen to it eventually, like once a month, once a week, something like that possibly.
Yeah, I got a lot of that. At least once a month I'm throwing in Rust in Peace or maybe My Arms Your Hearse by Opeth. There's always going to be those albums where you're just like, dude, I really got to listen to this, because you've been jamming on something and you're like, okay, that's cool, but it's not what I'm in the mood for. And you go grab what you're in the mood for, like, grab Kill 'Em All or, Rain and Blood or something, and you throw that on, or Altars of Madness, and all is right in the world, because it's your baby. It's what you're familiar with. Like, I do love the new material, but you just got to go back to the old stuff sometimes.
Yeah. For me, I wouldn't say it's once a month. It just kind of dawns on me. Like, I don't want to listen to that, so I'll go pull something, I mean, I don't have, the only time I can really listen to music is in the car, or if it's during my weekend and whenever I have some time, I can put some like earbuds on and go to Spotify and, pick something out that I already own that I just want to listen to, So, I mean, one band that I got into a few years ago, and I haven't listened to them in a while, but when I do, it's like, this is cool shit. Is a band called Finsterforce. They're from Germany, and their name means they're from the Black Forest region. So literally, that's what their name means, Black Forest. But they got a few CDs that is, really, really cool. A lot of they have a lot of, especially on the last CD called Zerfall. And I mean, they have the last song on there is 36 minutes long. It's called Esse Homo, Behold Man or Behold the Man, right? And the whole CD has a lot of orchestration to it, a lot of drum work or brass. So that's kind of like, I listen to that, I'm like, man, this is fucking cool shit, So every once in a while I go back and listen to them. There's a few other bands I would go back and listen to as well. And then once in a blue moon, something like way back in the day that I got into, it'll just dawn on me. It's like, and I'm gonna go listen to like a couple of your songs from that CD or whatever.
Yeah. Let's talk about Metal Inc., which BODS Mayhem Hour is an affiliate of. Let's talk about that, this group that you guys have going on.
Well, that came out of necessity, I'd say, because when we started doing this, no one wanted to be the social media guy. None of us did. I just kind of stepped up to the plate and I was like, screw it, I'll do it. I didn't want to. So I hate social media. Like I use Facebook to piss people off. That's all I do. And I didn't know a damn thing about Instagram. I don't care about Twitter and all that crap. Screw TikTok. But I had to do it, and kind of glad I did. But when I first did it, it was very daunting. I straight up studied Instagram for like 2 weeks before we even went back onto social media, because I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I make popular posts and crap like that? How do I trend? And all this freaking hashtagging crap. And so a couple of bands I met through DistroKid, Bocor, The Cage in Your Head, Atrial, Aramis, Moloch, Sadistic Force, and a few others. They helped me. They taught me about social media, how to do it, how to network, little tips and tricks in the trade. And they also taught me how DistroKid works, because a lot of people just publish their music and that's it. But DistroKid has a lot you can do with their services for free. So they taught me all that stuff too. And we kind of became a little tight clique, little group chat, if you will, on Instagram. And it kind of just grew from there. It basically, I say it started with about 5 or 6 bands, and then it exploded into maybe about a dozen, because they're all like, okay, our friends really like what we're doing with this. Can they be a part of it? So we kind of started bringing more bands into the fold. Mm-hmm. And that's how it started. Just bands helping me out, and then in return, I was helping them out, and we kind of just promote each other's music.
Yeah, and I'll do the same one here. You guys know I'm booked. I'm always busy doing something, so I'll get anybody, everybody out here just as soon as I can. That is for sure. For sure. When are we going to get this album, guys? Any time frame you're looking at, or just whenever you see it? What's going to go on with it?
It could be, we're trying to shoot for like a fall release. It could be late fall, early winter. That's kind of the plan right now. It's not in stone or anything like that. That's just kind of how we're trying to plan for it. We plan on releasing a single. It'll be one of the demo songs, just to so people can hear the difference between then and now.
Right.
So we don't know when that's going to be either. But sometime this summer, I would, imagine, I would hope that single would be released. But yeah, cool. Late fall, early winter, hopefully 2022, sometime during that time period.
Sure. Guys, how can folks stay in touch with you, buy this new album when it comes out, merchandise, all this stuff for the band? How can they do that?
all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at the Obsidian Resurrection, Facebook, Bandcamp as well. That's going to probably be our storefront for all merchandise. So we do have one piece of merch. Here it comes, Danny. The shameless plug of our hot sauce. This is empty because it's freaking delicious, but I'm saving it as a little memento. Hey, we have hot sauce. Mr. G's infamous hot sauce. Every bottle we sell, we get royalties for. That's going to help us with the recording costs for this album. But our Bandcamp is going to act as our storefront for our album, our merchandise, stuff like that. People can already download our demo for free on our Bandcamp. Yeah, we're on literally every single damn streaming service. We're on all the streaming services. Our Spotify lately has been blowing up. We were stagnant on Spotify for the majority of this last year, and now we're at 310 followers all of a sudden. And just the other day, we averaged 1,000 plays in 3 days. So we're getting pretty big on Spotify right now.
That's awesome. That's really good, guys. Yeah, keep that shit up, man. So keep that up. Keep bringing some money in, and that's what. There you go.
Yep.
I want to thank you two for being on the show, and I'm a proud supporter of Metal Inc. I know I don't post in there a whole lot because Josh knows I got a lot of stuff going on. Trust me.
Yeah, you told me. Hey, we're glad to have you, man. I'm stoked because I saw your past videos and I like what you do. And yeah, just for people out there who are curious about what Metal Incorporated is, it's literally a community of fans and bands coming together. We're trying to bridge that gap between fans and bands to make it an interactive community where the fans can get involved with the bands, So it's a really cool place. We're on Instagram and Facebook. The website is coming soon. It's finally going to be launched, and we're going to be doing a lot of live streaming from the website. We're going to do cool competitions and contests for the fans to get unique Metal Incorporated merchandise. Cool grand prizes they can do with the bands. Like some of the bands have agreed to have some fans, if they enter a contest, say they're a musician and they drop off their best song they've written, and we can react to these submissions, and we're like, dude, that shit was sick. And then we choose that person. They can be in the music video of one of the Metal Incorporated bands shredding a guitar solo or something, or they can be a guest musician on a single or their next album, stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty badass community. It already is a pretty badass community. Like, you've seen the group chat. It's a really cool community, but we're going to translate all that group chat and the Discord into the website. It's going to be like a central hub for all things metal. It's going to, like I said, it's going to bridge that gap between the fans and the bands and bring them together.
And once I get some more shirts in, I'm going to get some more posters in. I'll send a few to you guys to give away on Metal Inc.
Oh, for that donation? Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a while before I do all this because I'm looking into another.
Oh, okay.
So, that's all I'm gonna say right now.
That's fine.
Better financial things are coming my way. Hopefully. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. And please, folks, get out and check out the Obsidian Resurrection. Give these guys a fair shot, and just keep your ears open, man. There's always good metal out there, and just because you like one type of metal genre, give another one a shot. I mean, you'll never know what you like, man. Honestly, you may like this. Around listen to these guys. Well, this is a little bit heavier, extra kick, like a hot sauce that you need in there for you. So, once again, thank you guys for being on the podcast. And folks, please subscribe to BODS YouTube page. It just takes 2 seconds, folks, to subscribe to my YouTube page. Just go like it, subscribe. That's it. If I can subscribe to your YouTube page, best bet you better subscribe to mine, or I'll undo it. Plain and simple. Yep. Thank you two so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you, man.